Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name's Raymond. Back when this all started, I was 30 and running my own small IT consultancy. Nothing flashy, just network setups, server maintenance, freelance security audits. I had built it from scratch after quitting a warehouse job. It paid the bills and gave me freedom. That mattered more than status. I met Pamela at a finance tech networking mixer. She was studying for her CPA and working part-time at a payroll firm. I wasn't looking for anything serious, but she had this sharp, no-nonsense confidence that caught me off guard. We talked for 2 hours that night, not about dreams or romance, but taxes, tech, and where the world was heading. She was the kind of person who read policy changes for fun. 2 weeks later, we were meeting up between her classes and my client runs. No big dates, just takeout and long talks. She'd sit on my couch surrounded by textbooks, reciting obscure IRS rules while I ran security scans on my laptop. I liked that about her. She was focused, efficient, and grounded. No fake optimism, just work. Over time, I saw where she struggled: rent, books, and exam fees. Her dad had passed a few years ago, and her mom lived 2 states over. There wasn't anyone backing her up. So I stepped in, quietly paid her overdue tuition once, lent her money for her final review course. She resisted at first, said, "I'll pay you back." And I said, "Don't worry about it." My best friend Derek noticed it early on. He told me once, half joking, that I was treating Pamela less like a partner and more like a startup, building her resume, fueling her progress, and expecting long-term returns. He didn't say it to be cruel, just blunt. That was his style. He warned me not to let her forget who kept the engine running when things were still uphill. At the time, I brushed it off. I believed in her. She was focused, driven, and I thought we were building something together. She passed the CPA exams on her first try, got hired by a major firm 6 months later. We got married in a courthouse, no big ceremony. She said, "I don't need a wedding, I need a future." I liked that line. At the time, I thought we were on the same page. We were building something, a life, a team. But I didn't see the shift coming, not yet. Things started changing after Pamela's first big promotion. She went from working long hours to never being home. Client dinners, leadership programs, out-of-state audits, always something. At first, I was proud. She was moving fast, and I told her that. But the distance crept in quietly, like a draft you don't notice until you're freezing. "Late again?" I asked one night when she came in after 10. She kicked off her heels, barely looking at me. We had to debrief the Boston team. Couldn't leave early. I nodded. "Did you eat?" "Yeah, we ordered in." Then she walked past me. There wasn't a kiss, not even a pause. That kind of night became the norm. She used to light up when I brought her dinner during late-night study sessions. Now I couldn't even get a smile. I'd try to ask about her day, and she'd mumble half responses, scrolling through work emails on her phone. One Saturday, I asked if she wanted to take a weekend off. Go up to the mountains, no phones, just us. "I can't just unplug, Raymond," she said. "I'm not in that kind of position yet." "You've been there 6 months. She gave me this look. Not angry, not sad, just done. Things aren't like they were. She didn't have to explain. I could feel it. Every night she went a little colder, and every time I brought up the future, kids, vacations, even just moving to a bigger place, she either changed the subject or said, "Let's revisit that next quarter." So I gave her space, picked up more contracts, and told myself this was just a phase. Careers had seasons. Relationships took hits. But I was starting to understand something I didn't want to say out loud yet. Pamela's season might not include me anymore. It happened on a Tuesday. Regular day, nothing dramatic. I had just finished setting up a security firewall for a logistics client across town. Came around 6, picked up Chinese on the way, and walked into the apartment like it was any other night. Pamela was already there, sitting on the edge of the couch, blazer still on, hands folded in her lap. She didn't even look up when I walked in. "You're home early," I said. She nodded. "We need to talk." I knew those words. I set the food down on the table and waited. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folder, and slid it toward me. "What's this?" I asked. "Divorce papers," she said flatly. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. Everything's clean, no court fight. I'm not coming after your business or anything." I stared at her for a few seconds, not angry, Not shocked, just quiet. "Why now?" I asked. Pamela exhaled like she'd rehearsed this. "We've grown apart, Raymond. You know it. I've changed. You've stayed in the same place. And you couldn't bring this up before drawing up papers?" "I didn't want to drag it out," she said. "You're a good man. But we're not right anymore." I looked down at the papers. She'd already signed her side. All I had to do was add my name, just like that. So I signed. No fight, no lecture, no scene. She looked at me like she expected something more, maybe an outburst, or at least a question. But I gave her nothing. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, packed a suitcase, and walked out without another word. She didn't stop me, didn't follow. Just sat there on the couch with her clean paperwork and her clean conscience. After I walked out, I didn't go to Derek's. Didn't crash with friends. I got a long-term rental near the office, something small and quiet, and just shut the world out. Pamela's lawyer sent over the finalized documents 2 weeks later. Clean, efficient, just like she wanted. She didn't ask for anything from me, and I didn't fight for anything back. I could have gone after the money I'd poured into her certifications, rent, flights, food. But there was no paper trail. My lawyer, a no-nonsense guy named Elijah, laid it out for me in plain terms. Without a written agreement proving that the money I gave Pamela was intended as a loan and not a gift, there was nothing the court could do. It didn't matter what my intentions were. The law only recognized what was documented, and in this case, I had nothing on paper. So I let it go. All of it. The money, the time, the future I thought we'd planned. I gave myself 2 days to feel sorry for myself. Then I went back to work. I took every client that came my way. I started coding custom firewalls again, consulting for mid-tier banks, and even traveled out of state when the checks were big enough. I stopped going to places we used to go, avoided anyone who knew both of us. I knew something now that I hadn't known before. Love is easy to fake when someone's still climbing. The real test comes after they've made it. Over the next few years, my business took off. I hired a small team, moved into a better office, bought a house, nothing massive, but mine. And for the first time since signing those papers, I felt steady. I kept everything low profile, no social media, no big circles, no digital trail, because I knew someday silence breaks. And if she ever came back, I wanted to be the one who decided how the story ended. 10 years passed, without a single message, a call, or even a forwarded email from Pamela. And I was just fine with that. I was running a 6-figure operation. My name was quiet in the industry, but my work spoke loudly. I didn't do flash, I did the results. And somewhere in that rebuilding, I met Elena. She was an architect, clean lines, calm voice, no interest in drama. We met through a mutual client. She was divorced, too, owned a firm. First thing she told me when we sat down for coffee, "I don't do marriage. Been there, paid for it." I laughed. Same. It worked because neither of us was trying to fill a hole. We just liked each other's presence. We kept things simple. Shared meals, vacations, no paperwork. We had rules, honesty, space, and no illusions. It was enough. Then, one evening, while I was clearing out old spam from my Facebook archive, I saw her name, Pamela Warner. One message. "Hey, long time. How have you been?" I didn't react, just stared at it. It had been exactly 10 years, not a word in all that time, not when my mom passed, nothing. And now this message? I thought about ignoring it, but curiosity had its own pull. So I replied 2 days later. "Doing well. Hope you are too." That's it. Neutral. Closed. She replied within the hour. "I saw an old tech article and thought of you. Still in IT?" I gave her a short yes. She kept pushing the small talk, asking about work, hinting at memories. I didn't give her much, just enough to keep it moving. Then she said, "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us." I leaned back in my chair. It wasn't just nostalgia now. She wanted something. People don't circle back after a decade unless something behind them burned down. And I could already smell the smoke. Pamela's messages started coming daily. She eased into it. Little memories. "Remember that cabin trip?" Or, "I passed by that Thai place we used to go to." I kept my responses short, dry, and polite. But she wasn't here for conversation. She was testing the water. Then came the shift. "You know, Raymond, I never really found someone who matched your kind of loyalty. I didn't reply. Next day, you were the most stable person I've ever had. I was too blind to see it. That's when I knew she wasn't just reaching out. She was circling back. I didn't confront her, didn't ask why now. I just mirrored her. The way she used to act when I'd ask if we could talk. The way she used to stare past me like I wasn't even there. Now I was the one sending maybe later and been busy when she wanted to talk on the phone. One night, she got bolder. I always thought maybe, deep down, you hadn't remarried because you were waiting for me. That line stayed with me longer than I care to admit. Not because it was true, but because it told me everything. She still believed the world revolved around her, that I'd been frozen in time, waiting. I let her hang in that belief. Pamela confessed that her second marriage fell apart. Her husband had been reckless with money, cheated twice. She ended up paying alimony after the divorce. "Funny how life flips," she wrote. "I used to think I had all the answers." I didn't say anything back, just a thumbs-up emoji. She kept dangling little lines. Retirement's starting to feel real, scary without someone there. You were always the steady one. I knew what she wanted. She missed security. She missed having someone who didn't ask questions and just showed up. But that version of me was long gone. It was a Tuesday morning when I decided to end it. I sat at my desk, coffee in hand, her message from the night before still unread. I opened it, a long one this time, talking about second chances, timing, how maybe we had to break to understand each other. I didn't reply right away. I waited until lunch. Then I typed, "Pamela, our divorce wasn't the end of something good. It was the start of something necessary. Losing you taught me who I was, taught me what not to accept. I didn't wait for you. I rebuilt without you, and I'm better for it." I hit send and put the phone face down. The reply came within the hour. "Wow, so you were just playing with me? After everything we had?" Then another, "You're just like the rest, cold, distant. You used me." And then the spiral began. She messaged more. Late nights, early mornings, she sent long paragraphs about regret, about how I never gave her closure. She tagged me in nostalgic throwbacks, even sent a DM to Elena. "Hope he told you he's been talking to his ex." That was the final switch. I called Elijah, my lawyer from the divorce. She had crossed a line, and I didn't need to explain much. He understood immediately. Without hesitation, he said he'd have a cease and desist drafted and sent out fast. There was no debate, no back and forth, just action. By the end of that week, she got the letter. I blocked her everywhere. That was the last message I ever saw from Pamela Warner, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just finality. I looked over at Elena that night. She was sketching ideas for a new home build, music playing low in the background. Peace, that's what it felt like. Peace that didn't demand, didn't shift. It stayed. Pamela's chapter closed exactly how it needed to, not with a bang, but with a door quietly locking behind her. And I never opened it again. Thank you for watching.